All right, some self-deportation numbers have been released. Also, the president says he's willing to work with those who self-deport to find a legal way back into the United States. He's also willing to work with farmers and hotels to find workers. And some bombshell data has been released on sanctuary cities and states. Let's check it out.
Trump's Department of Homeland Security has been urging illegal aliens to self-deport using the CB Home app. Remember, that's the opposite of Biden's CB1 app. He said, come here, and Trump saying, go home. Or they can face the consequences of being here illegally and be deported by force. This flyer aimed at illegal residents, well, that's kind of an oxymoron. Illegal alien shares how self-deporting is safe. Illegals can even pick their own flights out of the country. It also warns about new penalties and steep fines if they do not comply. And it appears the administration's effort is working. New CBP home data shared with Fox News shows more than 5,000 illegal aliens have used this app to voluntarily exit America. All.
So obviously this is good news. 5,000 is a beginning, but we have an enormous problem of just numbers here, right? The prior administration let in 10 to 20 million unvetted migrants. And as everybody here who wants to stay, who resists this and wants their due process, et cetera, the ugly truth is we can't handle it. The system is not sort of comprised to be able to handle 10 to 20 new applicants thrown into the federal system.
So what would the answer be?
Everything would
if
stop.
It's not this.
So this is about the best answer that I can see, because we have to make sure as they go, we get your biometrics so that we really know who you are. Because the problem is that we have 10 to 20 million people unvetted. We don't know who they are. We don't even know if the names are real.
That was the point.
Exactly. So they knew what they were doing.
That way they can vote. They can do a whole lot of things.
That's
Democrats,
right.
That was the.
That's exactly right. This is a start. Look, 5,000. Look, since this app this program has been rolled out, it's a start. And like you said, 10 to 20 million people thrown into the country in a short amount of time is unsustainable. So we have to find a better way to get people in, to be able to come in here the right way. You have to vet people and make sure you're getting good people inside the country. Let's keep going.
So people who are willing to leave, and we get your biometrics, so we do know who you are, then of course they should get a play in getting back in, because we need everything we can get, because the system is not devised to handle it.
Well, look, you've got to start somewhere, right? And where we've started is pretty much a closed border. I mean, what trickles across the border now is such a small number. It gives you a chance to kind of catch up on those. But you know what we really need? We need some judges in this country who really actually want to be in the game of getting rid of the worst of the worst.
Yeah, and obviously we're failing on that score. But you know what I take away from this story, and we're just starting to get this, right? This is new information that we're just evaluating right now, is that these people who are here illegally, they're not stupid. This is a better deal, going home, having the government pay your airfare, than staying here and possibly having to spend time in jail and being taken away.
Yeah.
You get to take whatever money you've made while you've been here. You can take that with you. It's a better deal going home than staying here.
Well, not only that, you can come back depending on how you do it.
Right.
I mean, that's what President Trump said, that it's a door that can open both ways, but you have to go one way first and then get in line behind all those people who've intended to do it correctly. But you can come back. Leslie.
Well, there are a couple of things. California, where I live, largest illegal undocumented population in the United States, largest population in the United States. The immigration lawyers that I've spoken to, I asked what's going on and why is the number 5,000? Some would say that's a good number, but to Paul's point, it's a low number when you're looking at over 11 million plus people. A few things. Democrat or Republican, the majority of Americans want the criminals out. The criminals aren't going to this app, okay? 1. 2, tracking. Is the information accurate, and can you track these individuals? 3, a lot of people are very afraid to put this information in because they're afraid of people who are here legally in their families, that they were living with, some kind of retaliation. They have a lack of trust of our government, and their employers, some of them, at least in agriculture and construction, they're not wanting them to do this because they need the workload. In California, we need the construction workers. We need every hand because we've lost over 17,000 homes like mine and other families that were, destroyed in the fire. But you can't track necessarily whether these people have left, and if they've been here more than 10 years, it's years to get back. So a lot of them are.
In your state, you also turned on one heck of a magnet by pilfering and stealing from Medicaid to pay for some.
All right, so here is the president talking about that itself, the whole worker situation.
Gets well.
And we're going to work with people so that if they go out in a nice way and go back to their country, we're going to work with them right from the beginning on trying to get them back in legally. Is that right? A chance to come back. So it gives you a real incentive. Otherwise, they never come back. They'll never be allowed once a certain period of time goes by, which is probably going to be 60 days. We're also going to work with farmers that if they have strong recommendations for their farms for certain people, we're going to let them stay in for a while and work with the farmers and then come back and go through a process, a legal process. But we have to take care of our farmers and hotels and various places where where they need the people. And we're going to be working with you very carefully on that. So a farmer will come in with a letter concerning certain people saying they're great, they're working hard. We're going to slow it down a little bit for them. And then we're going to ultimately bring them back. They'll go out. They're going to come back as legal workers. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Which I think will be I think it's very important to do.
All right, so that's good to know that, if he's going to help out the farmers, other businesses to find and keep workers. Maybe there's some recommendations. People who have worked for them before did a great job. I don't know how this is going to work, and they can find a way for these people to be here in the country and work in a legal manner. So let's get going here on the data from sanctuary cities and states.
Report revealing just how many accused criminal migrants are in sanctuary jurisdictions that have been released onto the streets. All right, let's look at the data right here. Anytime the federal government, specifically ICE, has someone that is illegally in the country but also is wanted for criminal activity, they will put a detainer on them. So what we're learning, 25,000 detainers have been rejected by local jurisdictions, those jails. But the interesting data goes to the criminals. We got 72 of those detainers that were denied were people that have been charged with homicide. Now, they hadn't been convicted yet, but they were wanted. Looking at the states that mattered the most when it comes to this, you got Connecticut at the very bottom, you got Massachusetts. All these are sanctuary cities. Virginia, but at the very top, and I think this tells a telling stories, detainers rejected locally, 13,000 for the entire state of California. And also, why this matters, you look at California right now, the new case, an illegal immigrant.
You go back to that list right there. Okay, what's the common denominator? California, blue. Illinois, blue. Virginia is, Republican governor and lieutenant governor now, so it's purplish, very light blue going purple, so trending the right way. Massachusetts, the most blue state in the country. Massachusetts or Hawaii, one of those two. Connecticut. So there's a common denominator with all of these states.
California. And also, why this matters, when you look at California right now, the new case, an illegal immigrant and soccer coach is being charged with the murder of a 13-year-old boy on his team and assaulting 2 other minors as well. It's a stunning development. Jessica Vaughn is the director of policy studies for the Center for Immigration Studies, and she wrote the report on sanctuary cities, and she joins us now. Thank you so much for joining the program.
Thank you.
So the Congresswoman for the Progressive Caucus, Jayapal, had this to say about sanctuary cities and safety. Let's watch.
There are a lot of reasons why states and localities have adopted policies to leave immigration enforcement to federal government where it belongs. For some, it's about fostering trust with local communities. When immigrant communities know that calling 911 won't result in deportation for themselves or a family.
Here we go. She keeps saying, these people keep saying immigrant communities. She's trying, I can't with these people. I can't.
Member, they are actually more willing to report and help law enforcement solve crimes, which makes all of us safer.
But the numbers just don't add up, right?
That's exactly right. That is one of the most commonly offered reasons for having sanctuary policies. But we know from Department of Justice data that immigrants actually, even illegal immigrants, report crimes just as frequently as American citizens do. So they
Wow.
don't, as a group, appear to actually fear reporting crimes. So, understanding that there really is no excuse for sanctuary policies. And what the
I want
reason
to
they're
hear that
happening
again.
is because these local fear reporting crimes. So, understanding that there really is no excuse for sanctuary immigrants, actually, even illegal immigrants report. That is one of the most commonly offered reasons for having sanctuary policies. But we know from Department of Justice data that immigrants actually, even illegal immigrants, report crimes just as frequently as American citizens do. So they don't, as a group, appear to actually fear reporting crimes.
Interesting stuff right there. I didn't know that. They like to say that oh no, these they don't want the sanctuary cities are important because people are afraid to report crimes, and they're afraid to report crimes because they might get immigration called on them, whatever, and they may fear retaliation, which is true. That is true. But data shows that they report crimes just as much.
So, understanding that there
And then you have cities with police departments who have their hands tied and they, slow response time. Criminals just get released back into the country. So a lot of crimes do go unreported because of that reason.
really is no excuse for sanctuary policies. And what the reason they're happening is because these local jurisdictions disagree with immigration enforcement, and they are deliberately trying to get in the way of ICE doing its job for political reasons primarily.
Jessica, a lot of Americans hadn't seen these numbers, but they saw the stories of Americans being harmed by illegals in this country. Do you think the highlighting of these stories really changed the public sentiment on deportations? Because at first, they were against Trump when it came to this issue, but now you see overwhelming support for some of his immigration policies.
That's right. There is this narrative that immigration enforcement is overzealous and it's catching up people who are otherwise harmless. But in fact, ICE is focused on that fraction of the illegal population that is causing problems in American communities. That's who they're primarily looking for. And so when sanctuaries deliberately interfere with immigration enforcement, the result is they're not protecting the average immigrant or even illegal immigrant. They're protecting criminals, and they're releasing these criminals back into the streets where they have the opportunity to offend again. And they do. There is a huge human cost to these policies, and law enforcement agencies would like to be able to cooperate with ICE. They know how important that is, but it's the politicians who impose these sanctuary policies that are interfering with that and causing the public to be at risk. And it's happening everywhere, not just in the sanctuary cities, but even in some rural areas where they mistakenly have these policies misguided, and tragedies are happening. And you'd think they do the right thing for that reason, but it's over politicized at this moment.
It's so true. And the most stunning development of it all is, you've had these examples, yet a lot of these sanctuary states and cities, they just won't budge on the policies still, as it's brought to the light. Jessica, thanks so much for getting up this morning.
It's a dangerous policy, and I've said it time and time again. You're not protecting the people that you want to protect. They love to virtue signal. They love to say, we're protecting immigrants. Of course, they leave out illegal, but they're harming them. They're harming the very people they're trying to protect, and I will keep saying that because this is a stupid policy. You get American citizens hurt, and you get other people hurt as well. So I don't understand this ideology, this idea of not working with federal law. I don't get it when it comes to this right here. We just line for more crime, people to be released back into the streets and to cause more harm. So there has to be something done about this. But look, Tom Homan said he's just going to go in there and go after these criminals as he should. Public safety is a top priority for everybody in this country. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. Public safety is, in my opinion, the most important thing that I can think of. Who doesn't want to be safe in their own city or in their own town, their own neighborhood? I know I want to be safe. So, yeah, law enforcement is very important to me. Criminals, whether they're here illegally or not, need to be put away, need to be put behind bars. They don't need to be on the streets harassing and terrorizing people in our communities across the country. So this is interesting data. And California, you have a lot of Republican voters out there. You know, Donald Trump got, what, 6 million votes this last election or so? Maybe, I think it was 6 million. So there are a lot of you out there. You know, it's a big push to turn that state red to get you guys back on track. But you have a lot of work to do. Massachusetts, I don't even know if there's anything we can do about them. I believe Trump only received like 25% of the vote there. Hawaii, you know, we know that what they're dealing with as far as how blue they are. Connecticut, it's going to be tough. But yeah, look, you can only do so much. But I'm going to leave that right there. Like and subscribe. See you next time. Thank you. Take care.